Hello everybody, my name is Trackthing94 and welcome to my Minecraft Java Edition version 1.16.1 Automatic Villager Wheat and Beetroot Farm. Now before I get started on the tutorial for this farm, I want to go ahead and give credit where credit is due. The design of this farm is based on a design made by another YouTuber named babyhughhef. I'll go ahead and leave a link to his design in a note card in the upper right hand corner of the screen and in the description of this video so that you guys can see it for yourselves. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start the tutorial. In order to build this farm for yourself, you will need to collect these items. 4 3/4 of a stack of rails, 19 powered rails, 18 levers, a minecart with hopper, a chest, a hopper, a redstone comparator, a redstone torch, a piece of redstone dust, a composter, 9 trapdoors of your choosing, a villager, and of course you can use any decorative blocks of your choosing, but you will need solid blocks, stairs. You can use glass if you wish, but it is not mandatory. And if you're building this underground, you will need to use a light source block of your choosing. To build the farming area, you will need 4.5 stacks of dirt. You will need to be able to till the soil, and you'll need to be able to hydrate the soil with water. When you are ready to place the villager into the farming area, you will need to give them 4 stacks of seeds and 4 stacks of crops. If you are building the wheat version of this farm, you need to use wheat and wheat seeds, and if you're building the beetroot version of this farm, you need to use beetroot and beetroot seeds. Once you have collected all of the items needed to build this farm, clear out a 19 wide by 17 long area to place down your bed of rails. When you are ready to place down your rails, place down a block in the far right hand corner of the build and place a powered rail directly in front of it. After this, go ahead and place rails until you get to the center of the build. So I'm going to count 9 from this powered rail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This block right here is the center of the build, so I'm going to place a powered rail. And then I'm going to go all the way to the very end, as you can see here, curve back around, and go back the same way I came. When you get to the middle, place a powered rail, and continue placing. When you get to this spot right here, there's a chance that the rail might try to curve into this one. To avoid this, you can place a rail right here first, place a rail there, and you can see it curves around, and then begin the process. Continue the process as we saw earlier. Continue to do this until you get to the very end. When you get to the very end, you want to place down a powered rail, a block, and a lever going into the block turned on so that the rail is always on. And of course you want to power all of these minecart rails so you can go ahead and get out your levers and place them underneath here and turn them all on. When all of the rails has been placed down, you are now ready to build the minecart unloader. To build the minecart unloader, go ahead and place down a chest underneath this block right here. Then go ahead and break that rail and that block temporarily. Place a hopper directly on top of the chest. Replace the powered rail on top of that chest. And then now you want to place down the redstone. You want to place a block right there, redstone comparator, a block receiving the signal from the comparator into a redstone torch, into a block, into a piece of redstone dust which powers the minecart rail. And when the minecart comes along with items inside of it, it will stop on this unloader and it will drop off all of its items before continuing on into the farm. The last step now is to place down your minecart with hopper, and the collection system is now complete. You can verify that it goes all the way to the very end and returns before continuing. Now that your collection system is working, you'll want to go ahead and place down your dirt. So starting in this corner right here, you want to start placing dirt in a 17 by 17 area. You want to make sure that the dirt is over the straight rails and not over the curved rails, otherwise items will not get picked up by the minecart with hopper. You want to continue to do this until all the dirt all the way onto this side, all the way to this corner is already filled in. Once you have placed down your dirt, you are now ready to place down your water source blocks. You will need to place down some stairs on the corner of the build as such. Notice how this is a rounded corner. Place your water bucket in this corner slot right here. This waterlogs the block, but because it's rounded it will not spill all over your redstone. Be very careful because the water will destroy the rails. This waterlogged stair will hydrate the soil up to this point right here, and will hydrate all the soil in this area. Once you have done this, go ahead and count to the middle of the build. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the middle spot right here. You want to place down a stair facing this direction, with a block on the side as such, waterlogging this block, and this will hydrate the soil in this area around it. You want to repeat doing this for all of the corners and all of the sides of the build. Once you have placed down your water source blocks, you can now place your glass. You don't need to use glass, you can use solid wall blocks if you wish, but glass is nice because you can see the villager inside, you can see what they're doing, and if there are any problems you can usually find it quickly. If you're building this underground, you will also need to make sure to insert light source blocks into the build. I will show you where to place them at the end of the video. Now that you have placed down your containment walls, go ahead and grab your stairs and identify the very middle of the build. You can do so using the stairs that you placed down previously, and as you can see I have found the middle. Place down after destroying this dirt block, place down a stair and waterlog it. This will hydrate all of the soil around it. Then you can get out your composter, place it there, solid block, and then you want to place down your trapdoors in this fashion. This step is extremely important. If you skip this step, your farm will not work correctly. Once you have placed down your trapdoors, your composter, and your water source, you are now ready to till the soil. So go ahead and get out your mom and begin tilling as you see here. Do this for the rest of the farm, and of course, place your crop of choice onto the tilled soil. If you did everything correctly, all of the farmland should become hydrated and the crops should begin growing. Once you have placed all of your crops, you are ready to add your villager. But before you can do this, you want to make sure to light up all of the source blocks in the area, all the solid blocks, so that monsters cannot spawn and kill your villager. If you're doing this underground, again, you want to make sure that all the areas around the villager that are accessible to the farm are lit or blocked off so that monsters cannot get to your villagers. Once you have done this, go ahead and collect your villager. The easiest way to do this in survival is with a minecart and some rails. Once you have your villager, do not introduce them to the farm until you have given them the following items. You want to give them, in this order, 4 stacks of the seeds of the crop you're using. I want to farm wheat, so I'm going to give him wheat seeds. And then, of course, 4 stacks of the crop you are growing. The reason why we are giving the villager 4 stacks of these items is because villagers have 8 pockets, and they cannot hold more than 4 stacks of any given item in their inventories. So by giving them 4 stacks of seeds and 4 stacks of wheat, whenever this guy breaks a fully grown wheat block, he will only collect enough seeds to replenish them, and he will not be able to pick up the wheat because there is no space in his inventory, and the minecart will collect it. The reason why we block off the composter from him being able to access it is because if he is able to access it, he will turn his extra seeds into bone meal, and he will turn his extra wheat into bread, which we do not want. If he is not leaving his area, you can always give him a gentle nudge, break off and clean up the area around it. And as you can see here, he has discovered the composter, but he is not able to access it. This is fine. He does not have to actually use the composter to be able to farm and work. He just has to be able to pathfind to it, which he can do through the trapdoors. Right now there is no work for him to do because the farm is still growing, but within 30 minutes to 45 minutes you should see that crops will begin to grow and your villager will begin harvesting them. Alright, so I have allowed the farm to run for about 30 minutes, and as you can see the crops have grown and the villager has been busy working. At this point I have been letting the farm run at noontime for the entire time, but now I'm going to do an actual test, so I'm going to turn on the daylight cycle and I will let the farm run on its own for an hour under normal conditions, and I will see what the output is. I'll see you guys in 1 hour. Alright, so I have let the farm run for 1 hour. Here's what we got. About 2 stacks of wheat. This is pretty typical. I've noticed that at peak efficiency this farm will give you between 2 to 2.5 stacks of wheat, depending on how quickly the villager works. But yeah, if you chain a bunch of these farms together, you'll definitely get a large amount of wheat. 2 stacks an hour is definitely not a huge amount, but it's definitely better than having to farm it all yourself. As you can see here, this farm also works with beetroot. Using the same design, I was able to get about the same amount of drops in a given hour, and the villager works just fine if you give them beetroot and seeds. Technically, the trapdoors are not necessary, but I always like to include them just to be safe. You can also build this design underground. If you do so, make sure that you build from the corners and from the side. So if you're going to place light sources, you're going to count 1, 2, 3 from the corner, place a light source, 1, 2, place another light source, and you want to do this for every single corner, 1, 2, 3, light source. And then of course you can place light sources on the side, so 1, 2, place a light source, and then your final light source goes directly above the composter. By placing the light sources in this way, it allows all of the wheat or the beetroots to grow to their full capacity. As a reminder, for the third time, you need to have the trapdoors in front of the composter. If you do not do this, then you're going to end up with a lot of bread. You're going to get very little wheat, a little bit of bone meal, and a lot of bread. So make sure you do that. So that's all I have for you guys for this tutorial. Thank you guys very much for watching all the way to the very end. If you liked the tutorial, please consider leaving a like. If you guys have any questions or comments, or you have any suggestions or problems that you've noticed at the farm, feel free to leave those in the comments section and I'll try to get back to you guys. If you guys really liked this content and you want to see more from me, consider subscribing to my channel. I have plenty of other Minecraft related content you guys might like. But without further ado, thank you guys very much for watching, and take it easy, everybody.